Hey everyone, welcome to the next video where I break down two different LEGO sets and use just those pieces that I have available to make something new. As in the first video, I'm going to keep to the 85% piece challenge, meaning I have to use at least that amount of bricks from the pile. I'm also creating speed build versions of these videos, for those of you that enjoy quick motion builds without a random Englishman rambling on in the background, so feel free to check those out. So the sets I'm using in this build are both from Marvel's Black Panther movie. The Black Panther Pursuit is set number 76047. It contains 287 pieces. It's a pretty nice little set. It comes with the Shield Task Force Jeep and the Winter Soldier on a motorbike. But the jet itself doesn't contain a great deal of features. It's got a nice canopy section and I love the green bricks on the inside. So I don't think I'll have too many of those to use. It's pretty basic underneath, but I've got two cannons and some more green bricks on the back. It's got a solid fuselage, but there's no access points. But it does have some great Wakanda themed tiles on the wing. Set 2 is the Royal Talon Fighter Attack, which is set number 76100, and it contains 358 pieces. I'll admit I love the look of this set. It kind of has everything that the other jet doesn't. It is small, but it feels really solid in your hands. These fins are the main feature point of the ship, and they run down both sides. The cockpit has nice detail, and I love the shape and the markings on the canopy. It's got an access point, which is small, but the child inside of me always preferred to have little nooks for the figures to go inside. It has these cool clear circular blocks underneath, which I'll probably use in some way. Maybe underneath to strengthen the build. And if you look through this stud hole, you can see I've got more of those green bricks that were featured on the Pursuit jet. So these are the ones I chose this time round, and again they share the same colour scheme, so whatever I build I'm pretty sure is going to be mainly black with green, purple and grey bricks dotted around. There's a good deal of bricks and tiles with some detailed features, and I'm already having loads of thoughts about how to use those fins. So it's time to break them down. The more layers that I strip off of this thing, the more colour bricks I find, which is ideal. I also like the shape of this brick from the Pursuit jet's nose cone. There's only one of them though, so it'll have to be used as a central feature somehow. These are the tiles I mentioned earlier. There's Wakandan symbols on the curved tile, and this line runs across three different brick types. It'll be good to keep those together for that reason, but if I need to split them up, I'm fine with that. Also, I have a few of these 2x1 hinge bricks, which can be super useful. Again, I have no idea at this point what I'm going to do with them, but you're always pleased to have these available. These sections are great. I like the bigger pieces as they're either the perfect base to build from or a great way to fill or shape the body of the build. I also have these arch pieces which I'm sure to squeeze in somewhere. So I've been thinking about how to use these fins. They were spaced out individually on the Royal Talon, but I'd like to find some way to bunch them together in groups of 3 or 4. So I've 486 bricks altogether, lots of cool colours to use too. There's a few small connector pieces which made up the fins of the Royal Talon, which have certainly raised the brick count. Anyway, let's speed things up and start building. Maybe I'm influenced by the large amount of black bricks, but my early thoughts are a batwing type shape. The wings out wide on supports, but not blended into the fuselage, which leaves the cockpit and this tail piece as this pod in the middle. So the wings are coming along nicely. The curved section at the front will be where the cockpit is housed, but for the time being, I'm layering up the wings. As you can see, I like to build both wings at the same time. It makes it easier as the more layers that I apply, the harder it will be to replicate. So I thought I'd stop the quick build to show you some of the details I've added. I've managed to get 2 of the Wakandan tiles onto the wing, and I've made good use of the coloured bricks at the base of the wing. wings are almost finished at this point. I filled them out on top and decided to use the dashboard from the Royal Talon as an exposed section on the wing. My only issue at this point is that wings are slightly fragile, a little bit flimsy, so I need to layer them more underneath. So the wings are done, and my plan is to run a long 2x8 tile from one wing to the other and begin to build the middle section around this. I'm working on the cockpit section now. I'm using these long slope sections to make up the bulk of the nose, which I always had in mind ever since I broke the originals down. When you put them together, they just come to this naturally smooth point. I love these bricks, they're really unusual but work in a great way to blend the base of the wings into the cockpit. As you'll notice, I've elected to use the canopy from the pursuit jet. This wasn't my original preferred choice, but sometimes you're forced to make these changes, and other times it just look better. I'd save some space on the back of both wings to add a block or whatever I plan to do with the fins. I've managed to cluster the four together, which looked great. The problem was, the inward facing fin covered up far too much of the back portion, so I decided to remove this. So at this point I was kind of finished. The shape was mostly how I planned, and I think it looks awesome. The only issue, if I set it down a second, is that you can see I've got lots of bricks left. I said I had a plan to use the red and white connectors to make landing gears, but that still wouldn't have got me past the 85% piece challenge I've set myself. So I gave it some thought as I was building the landing gear, and I've decided I'm going to extend the rear. I really like the way it looks now though, so I thought I'd try and build an extension so the ship could jettison in case of emergency. A small cargo hold which makes the ship bigger as a whole, but effectively is made into two parts. Please bear in mind at this point that the bricks were running low, especially as far as trying to keep to a certain level of symmetry. Looks like a bit of a patchwork blanket at the moment, but the idea hopefully is that this section of the plane will cover this up and it will blend in okay. I created this hatch to attach to the cargo pod, which is purely to cover up the gaps that form in the centre when it's attached to the main ship, and it blends it all in to make it look like one large vessel. So it's time to finish up and see how it looks. Well, this is the finished article and I love it. I used 10 of the 12 fins, which is more than I expected. With these and the beak-like nose, I found it hard to steer away from that bird theme to the name. So I've chosen the name for this model to be the RD04 Jackdaw. Beside the bird-like features, it's also mostly black, so I chose to choose a bird type which reflected that colour. I like the cockpit a lot, even though the canopy wasn't my preferred choice at the start. The T-sections either side of where the pilot would sit are a really nice feature. It has 2 stud cannons at the front, and that beak section at the front I'm really happy about. Sometimes when adding a piece to the front of a plane, it can look out of place, but this I think goes really well. The wings aren't as cluttered as when I built the Vulture, but still have plenty of standout features, and I'm pleased I made the choice to remove one of those fins from the blocks at the back. I've added the cargo hold at the back, which was never in the scope of the original build. There's not much room in there, but as it's a place which would be sacrificed for additional speed or a quick getaway, I wouldn't think there would be anything too precious in there anyway. These rear feet are essential as they support the cargo pod when it's docked, and they're level with the front landing gear so it sits evenly when you place it down. If I lift the top hatch, I'll see the gap it conceals. In the first place, I did think about maybe creating an escape pod in a similar vein to like the Benatar from Guardians of the Galaxy, but I just couldn't get it to work and it just didn't look good enough when it was docked. So to detach the cargo pod, it eases out with a little wiggle easily enough. Yeah, I'm not keen on the multicoloured exterior of the pod, but if it was a real Lego set, I'm sure some flat black tiles would sort this out easily enough. The white angled connectors I use for the landing gears reflect the look of those crooked feet that you get on a jackdaw or a crow. So as far as the block challenge is concerned, I started the build with 486 pieces available, and I used 461 of those to make the jackdaw come to life. Meaning that I achieved my goal by using about 95% of what I had. So to end this video, I've made a mock-up of what I think the box would look like in the stores, and remember that all the sets that I own to make these videos are available in the description, so feel free to offer up any ideas for future builds. Thanks for watching everyone, I've really enjoyed making this video. If you did too, then feel free to give it a thumbs up, and I'll try and read any comments that come through. I look forward to seeing you all in the next mashup.